Welcome to another episode of Class Haven Farms. So what are we doing today? Well, today I thought I would go over the carryall that I built to go on the back of the three-point hitch of my tractor. I use this carryall for bringing up firewood and kind of helping me work on stuff around the property. So I thought I'd go over it and show you guys some stuff. Alright, so before I start with this, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, kind of follow me along. And before I go any further on this, I want to put a shout out to my buddy Jacob for this because he was sending me a lot of messages after I posted the video of my quick hitch. So I said, you know what, I might as well as go through what I did here. Alright, so look guys, I'm going to kind of pick that camera up and walk you around this, but I figured I'll talk to you now. This is a carryall that came from County Line from Tractor Supply. So when I got this carryall, it was just the frame. And what I used the frame for was when I had my 1959 Farmall 340, the lift capacity on that was a lot better than my 650 John Deere that I had before I bought the 790. So I would primarily use this in the Farmall for picking like heavy pallets of bricks up and just moving a lot of heavy stuff around. And then I sold the Farmall and this carryall just kind of sat. And then COVID hit and had some times where everybody was getting quarantined and you couldn't do anything. So I went down in my shed and I had all this lumber, all this old scrap wood. So everything besides buying the carryall, which I think the carryall when I bought it was like 169. Of course, you know me, I got a coupon, so I know I got it cheaper than that because I never buy anything full price. So, but we'll just say that the carryall was, let's say $170. So the carryall was $170. That is all that I have in this. Everything, including the nuts, bolts, screws, washers, anything that I put on this was all scrap wood. Now, I know some of you may be looking at this and going, really, you put all that energy into it and you didn't use pressure treated? Well, I didn't have any pressure treated scrap wood. Some of this stuff is. I think this 2x4 is pressure treated and some of the boards down on the bottom are pressure treated. But as you guys know, I just kind of like to use what I have. Guess that's my grandparents coming out in me. So that's what I did here. Everything that's on this is stuff that I was able to repurpose, stuff that was just scrap wood that was sitting down there. So I'll grab this camera. So to give you guys an idea, my width here is 60 inches, so 5 feet is how wide I made it. And then my height here to this board down here is 31 inches. And then from this back wall out front here is 28 inches. That was kind of because of how many boards that I had. I also wanted to leave gaps because I knew that I would primarily use this for hauling firewood around. So that's why I have the gaps. Some people, when they've made these carryalls, they butt all these boards up. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted it. If you look, you can see I have all kinds of bark and leaves and stuff like that. So I wanted it to be able to fall through, and if I wanted to sweep this out because I wanted to put other stuff in there, it's a lot easier with nice big gaps. I wanted something where pieces of bark like this could easily fall through, so I didn't want to make it too tight. So that kind of gives you an idea there. A lot of questions that I've had is hauling capacity. How much firewood can you haul with this? So what I figured out, loading everything here in this carryall and then the bucket of the 790 John Deere, I can basically move a half-face cord, which is a rack that would be 8 foot long, 4 foot tall, and the pieces are 16 inches long. It's a pretty good bit of wood for me. So a lot of times that's what I'll use this to bring firewood up to the house. So if I load the back of this and the bucket up, that's a pretty good load of wood that I'm bringing up and putting in the IBC totes up by the front door of the house so we can bring wood in. So I just wanted to do this to kind of show you guys kind of what my gaps look like in between my boards. And if you're not familiar, these carryalls, especially the ones from Tractor Supply, the County Line, this metal rail is here, and they have bolts or holes, I'm sorry, holes that are already pre-drilled in this. So that's what I used here, and then I just obviously drilled a hole through the board and then just ran a nut and bolt through there. So that's how these are held on. Now my sides, I just used decking screws or drywall screws, whatever I had. Most of them are all decking screws. Some of them are the real fancy painted ones that I don't have to worry about rusting up. Again, it was just whatever I had laying around. These sides that I made, they were painted, so I thought, well, I'll just use those because they're somewhat painted, so they'll be somewhat protected. But again, another reason why I used all scrap wood is because if I designed this and I didn't like something about it, then if I ever wanted to actually spend the money on this, because it's not like the frame's ever going to go bad, then I learned something from it. So that was kind of my other mindset. I can get some time out of it, look at it, and be like, hey, I really like this, or I'd like to add this. One thing that I would like to do, and I've seen it on some other YouTube channels and carryalls that people have made, is I would like to put a 2-inch receiver on here so that I could haul the log splitter. Because right now, there's no way for me, if I have this on, that I can haul the log splitter. I could probably do it with this board because it's not like the log splitter is ridiculously heavy and I'm not hauling it for long distance. I don't know that I would be able to haul like a trailer, but it's just an idea. It's something that I saw and I was like, oh, that'd be pretty cool. So I have thought about buying the receiver to mount up underneath there just so I can do that. Some of the other things that I've looked at doing is maybe taking some 2-inch drainage pipe, running that all the way down so that I can put shovels or other hand tools and things like that. You guys can kind of see I made a holder for my chainsaw, which I'll talk about here in a second. So one thing that I'll touch on, obviously this is my quick hitch, so those of you that haven't seen the video that I did prior to this, this is the quick hitch that I use. So if you use a quick hitch, something that you need to think about is this jaw and the one that goes for the top link, which I'll show you here in a second. You got to give them some type of spacing. So what I did was I used a 2x4 here on this rail and the other rail, and that gives me my spacing so that this jaw doesn't hit this back side of the hitch. So it's something to think about. I know my neighbor had came over and saw my carryall and was like, man, I really like that. So he went and did his own. But what he did was he cut a hole here on this backing so that the jaws went through, which is fine. You can do that too. But for me, I just liked being able to put that 2x4 there, and I'll show you a little bit more up close so you can see what I'm talking about. So you just run that 2x4 all the way down, and that gives you pretty good spacing so that your jaw doesn't hit. So again, just like we talked about on the other side, you can see all of the holes that are there for you to be able to attach boards and things. And what I didn't have to worry about there was, since I used these 2x4s, these boards that I didn't put holes through, I could just run screws in. So that was another reason why I like doing that. It also, using these 2x4s, you can really see that, but it gives you your spacing for that hook where the top link is. So it's just something to think about if you're making this on your own. I would recommend putting the 2x4s like that. Makes it a lot more uniform and just gives you good spacing. Now you can see here's my chainsaw here. So again, scrap wood, and my bucking spike is what holds it. So I made it enough of a gap so that the bucking spike and the bar could sit in there, and it sits in nice and tight. So I don't need to put another one down here on the bottom. It's not really going anywhere. So looking down from the top, you can see that gap. So there's the top link hook, and it just gives it, using these 2x4s, just gives you enough gap so you don't have to worry about hitting this back wall with those jaws. So that's it for my carryall. Just thought I would share that with you guys. I've always gotten a lot of interest from this. Anytime I've ever had anybody come by the house and they see this and they're like, man, what's that thing on the back of your tractor? And after I posted that video of my carryall, I got a lot of messages from friends and people that I know that saw my video, and were like, man, what are the dimensions? How did you do it? So again, it's all scrap wood. and I'm sure a lot of you guys that are watching this right now probably have this much scrap wood that your wife's probably been like, what are you going to do with that? Do something with it. Well, this is what I did with it. So, as always, man, if y'all like what I'm doing here, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, kind of follow me along. As I've said before, I do a new video every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, I'll see you on the next one.